Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagay. So, we're going to talk a little bit about Carney and Christia. Of course, they're doing their kind of media blitz, isn't only doing favorite questions. Christia Freeland, well, CTV and CBC and them, they pretend to be hard on them, but they're still just avoiding all of the real questions. They just avoid them. So let's just back up a little wee bit here. I'm just going to kind of give you a preamp on Carney and then kind of post a clip of what he said in the last 5 days. So let's just take a start here. Oh, you just can't make this stuff up. Let's go.
Wait a minute. There's a bit of a chicken and egg. Can you get to net zero as a financial institution if companies aren't moving? But as companies start to move, all of us in the financial sector are being asked, what's your plan? What's your stance on net zero? And, that's something we've looked hard at Brookfield. And to say, spend a moment on that, which is Brookfield's in a position today where we are net zero today. Brookfield is net zero, and that's not net zero just in our operations, the buildings we have and if we ever take flights again, when we take flights again and the hotels and things like that and the paper, etc.
He's been flying all over the country. Do you think he's taking a car doing all these rallies? No, he's flying all over the country. He's got hotel rooms all over the country. You can't believe anything he says.
But across the 575 billion asset portfolio. And the reason we're net zero is we have this enormous renewables business that we've built up and all the avoided emissions that come with that. Now, two things to add to that, though. First, just because we're net zero doesn't mean we're everything's green. We have assets that span the spectrum, and we have a commitment that we will manage those assets and work to decarbonize those assets over time.
Okay. We're not even going to carry on. Let's just debunk all this right now. Okay, so this is his company that he sits on, Brookfield. Brookfield owns Dalrymple. Hope I'm saying that right. Australian. I'm going to read you a little bit. DBI, formerly known as Dalrymple Bay Coal Terminal, DBCT, is a coal loading terminal serving the Bowen Basin in Australia. At the time of purchase, Brookfield Infrastructure Partners, BIP, owned 71%, and a Brookfield-managed private equity fund, the remaining 29%. From an investment perspective, it is more of a financial investment than operating company and produces steady, predictable cash flow within its regulatory context. However, sometimes steady and predictable is not enough. Steady, predictable, and much bigger is better, and that's what Brookfield aimed for, extracting much more cash than the business could reasonably support. Brookfield's ability to extract maximum cash from DBI was predicated on two elements. Debt was structured as a series of non-amortizing bullet loans, limiting financial outflows to the cost of interest. Brookfield also used a related party loan strategy to extract more cash than may have been possible under Australian regulations. Australian rules prohibit the payment of dividends if the payer is or will be put into a negative equity position following the distribution. Loaning money, however, even on a related party basis, which might never be repaid, creates equity. DBI made loans to its immediate parent, is BPIH Pty Limited, an intermediate holding company considered by some to be a tax dodger in Australia. BPIH in turn upstreamed the loan proceeds as cash dividends to owners via Bermuda Holdings. There's a pile of cash that they've been, well, you heard it. They're evading taxes. So let's just take a little bit of a look at this coal mine. Shipping. Hay Point is located approximately 40 kilometers south of the city of Mackay. Hay Point Port is one of the largest coal export ports in the world. There are 2 coal terminals at the port, Hay Point Coal Terminal and Darliman, oh, I can never say that word, Bay. Coal mines in Bowen Basin are connected to the terminals via an integrated rail port network. Around 100 million tons of coal is exported every year. Hay Point trading ports fall under the care and authority of North Queensland Bulk Ports. Hay Point also operates within the Great Barrier Reef World Heritage Area. Similar to road maintenance, the port also needs regular maintenance. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, this is a huge port. These guys move a pile, I mean a pile of coal. Now, the kicker is that they sell a lot of it to China. They sell a lot of it to Japan. Now, Japan came begging to us for a pipeline. Trudeau said, nah, sorry. It's just, there's no economic, future for it. So Trump secured that deal. And you can see a good explanation of that in my previous videos. So we're just gonna kind of do a little bit more reading here. As one of the largest coal exports in the world, the Port of Hay Point is a vital part of the social and economic fabric of both Mackay and Queensland more broadly. 2 separate coal terminals, blah, 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 bay, etc., 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 location, where is that trading, marine offloading, strategic planning. Growth at the Port of Hay Point is expected to continue to meet industry demand. The Hay Point Marine Offloading Facility Infrastructure Project is complete and open for business. We continue to build a better port of service for stakeholders' requirements. These guys are upping their production. I believe this year it was 8.7% and 15 or 16% on the other port. So let's take a look at how green this place really is. This is what the Cayley Valley wetlands used to look like. Home to more than 200 species. But aerial photography reveals water from the Abbott Point Coal Terminal leaching into the wetlands on an aftermath of a tornado or a storm. This is what the wetlands look like now. Wow. At the adjacent beaches, now remember, the Great Barrier Reef. Where's the environmentalism in that? They're so worried about making money and looking good that they're actually doing more harm than good. They're making money off of our demise and the environment's demise. So let's just go right on ahead and we will watch who Carney really is.
And something that my government is going to do is to use all of the powers of the federal government, including the emergency powers of the federal government, to accelerate the major projects that we need in order to build this economy and take on the Americans.
Okay,
Mais donc vous n'imposeriez
French,
jamais un pipeline
but you would never
au Québec
impose a
ou à
pipeline on Quebec or other provinces.
Jamais.
I would never impose it. No, never, never. Emergency legislation, but I will use my government. If I were Prime Minister, my government would use our emergency powers to accelerate projects that are in the national interest. So in other words, green. Green, 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 green. This is for their investment company. This is for their investment company. This is the deviance of it. This is the evil of it. Say one thing in English, say something else in French. Again, look at some of my prior videos. I toured this country. Every province's news says something totally different to their people. And Quebec is by far the worst. The worst. The media is probably 75% of the reason why Quebec has such disdain for the rest of Canada, especially the West.
National.
But it has to be decided with the provinces, with the nations. Okay, if a province says, no, you're not putting any pipes through, absolutely, he says. You don't impose it? Never in Quebec, he says. Never, never in Quebec. So, we've been talking about this since his Kelowna speech.
The Liberal leadership race is
And
heating.
the media is like, oh, he did. First they said, oh, he didn't say he'd use the Emergencies Act. Yeah, he did. He just didn't say act. He said emergencies. He would. He would, without a doubt. And then the second one that they tried to say, oh, no, 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 he didn't say he was going to use the emergencies to push green energy. He said everything, pipelines and everything. That's what they're pumping out west. You click online, you watch Western media, the mainstream, and they're like, he's going to do pipelines. Everything's going to be honky-dory. No worries. He goes out to Quebec. Never a pipeline. There'll never be a pipe. Oh, no, no, no. I'm not putting that money or the emergencies for oil. No, no, no. Oil and gas, bad. Two completely contrary stories. These guys will say anything for power. The reason we don't have honest politicians is because people have a hard time swallowing the truth. They do. I see it in my videos. I'll post a video, I'll put a certain title on it, and some people get upset, and that's it. All of a sudden, I trend down. And then when they see something they like, I trend up. And there's even variations between where those videos are being seen. I can monitor between province to province to province and see. And I check out other podcasters and videocasters and see how they're doing and how they work their demographics. And same thing. It's the same thing. It's something discussed amongst them. People can be fickle that way. And I can understand, whatever. That's fine. My job is just to kind of straighten out the media and try to get the truth out to people. That's my intent. That's why I'm here. So moving on. We're going to go to Chrystia Freeland. She's another doozy. But I'm going to show you how very little morals she has. And that once again, especially in the Liberal Party, how they will say or do anything to stay in power. They don't care. And Chrystia Freeland is one of the worst. I don't know a single woman around or in my life that has any respect for her. Zilch. Zero. Nada. None. Normally when I'm watching news and stuff trying to catch up, they hear her voice, I hear the doors slam. Just like the turd. They're sick of it. They're sick of her. They're sick of her lies. Well, let's expose a little bit of her moral integrity. Go ahead, Chrystia. Let's hear it.
Critics would point out, that you have been kind of shoulder to shoulder with Mr. Trudeau for his whole tenure, really, as Prime Minister. And it's clear Canadians are looking for a change. So why would they choose you to get that change?
Well, first of all, I will point out, Bruce, I was the one minister who had the gumption to resign.
Sure.
And that was a hard thing to do, and it was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that? Did you? What a woman, eh? Strong, independent woman. She had the courage. She had the courage in the face of Trudeau to resign.
How are you feeling?
I feel good.
For a period of approximately 4 months between September and December of 2018, I experienced a consistent and sustained effort by many people within the government to seek to politically interfere in the exercise of prosecutorial discretion in my role as the Attorney General of Canada in an inappropriate effort to secure a deferred prosecution agreement with SNC-Lavalin. These events involved 11 people, excluding myself and my political staff, from the Prime Minister's office, the Privy Council office, and the office of the Minister of Finance.
I strongly maintain, as I have from the beginning, that I and my staff always acted appropriately and professionally, and therefore I completely disagree with the characterization of the former Attorney General about these events.
Justin Trudeau.
Where's her morals? Where's her morals? Where's her feminism? Where's her honesty, integrity? Interesting. But wait, there's more.
I was very clear to make sure that the people of Whitby knew that I was serving them. And if I couldn't tweak the messaging, I posted nothing. And then I think towards the end, towards especially March of 2019, I just decided that I was not going to let the actions of one person dictate how I left government. And I was not going to let Justin Trudeau continue to be presenting himself as this sunny ways, great politician when I knew that he was the emperor with no clothes on.
So what did you do about that? Like, you had some famous blow-ups as you departed from the political scene. Now, this is reminiscent. You mentioned Bill Morneau and Judy Wason-Raybould. So another of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you is because, 3 establishes a pattern, and there seems to be very close affinity. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but from the outside, close affinity between what happened with Morneau and what happened with Raybould and what happened with you. And that's 3. And so maybe you could let everybody who's watching and listening know about these other people that departed and why you think that happened. And then also tell us when you decided to speak in your own voice again, given that you weren't given the opportunity to speak as the press secretary anyways. So tell us what happened with Bill Morneau and Judy Wilson-Raybould, and then also what happened to you when you started to reclaim your territory, let's say.
Yes, yeah. So it didn't start with us, though. I want to be very clear. Leona Alleslev left way before. Decorated military person who decided to leave and cross the floor to the Conservatives really early in our mandate because she was so disenfranchised with the prime ministers. Other people left after we left. Eva Nessef also left because of the bullying that she received within the party. So there was a few people. So it's not just a 3. By the time Jane Philpott, decorated medical professional, left, we were way beyond 3s at that point. So
yes.
Yeah. So there were quite a few, and I would say for me, I didn't have to have a public blow up with the prime minister. When I told him that I was leaving in early March of 2019, I was very clear for all of the reasons that we discussed before, feeling tokenized, not getting the support of the prime minister, just being very much marginalized within a liberal, which is it makes me so. It is so upsetting because it's one thing to say, you did some missteps, but I felt duped. by a party that I really thought understood what it meant to be center, understood what it meant to have equity and justice, what it meant to have those things, and to be disenfranchised by them because I wanted more for the people that I serve was disenfranchising for me. Yes, it was.
Yeah, well, definitely.
That is the word. Thank you very much. That is actually the word. Betrayal.
I really urge, I beg you guys, I post the links on all my videos in the description. Watch this interview. It gives the reality of the Liberal Party. The equality is bullcrap. They use race, like she said, for tokens. Everything about them is a show. There is zero accountability to the people who are loyal to the King and his Privy Council, which is all WEF. All of them. This interview will shake you. And it's a great interview. And I'm really glad that she went on, because I had completely misunderstood her from how the media treated her and on how private she tries to keep her life. So it's hard to not know a person and virtually look at who she is, especially in this day and age with the propaganda media, and get the reality of what a person is. This is an extraordinary lady. Yes, there are certain things that she voted on that I disagreed with, but for the most part, a person with that much dignity, respect, and ownership of responsibility is a rare find in politics. And the sad part is the media is labeling the Conservatives being this right-wing party. I'm not ancient. I'm not young. I've been around a while. This is the most centrist conservative party I have ever seen. I would call it almost libertarian conservative. They don't deal with any of the crap, the division, the hate. It's all about equality and treating the people as the kings. Instead of the government running us, they want us to run the government. And it's sad that she didn't get involved and switch party lines, because I think she could have represented her riding, I believe it's Peel, very well in this conservative government. She would have been more of a liberal side, and I'm not necessarily going to say left-leaning, but more of a liberal conservative, who, for where she is, I think could have made very good decisions and had a strong voice at the table. If you agree or disagree, let me know. Please throw it down in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think on all of the subjects. I read them. Throw a comment down and let me know how you feel. So we're gonna move on a little bit. I'm just gonna grab your Trudeau puke bucket. I just got a little clip of him. I'm sorry, but it's kind of crucial to Chrystia Freeland to kind of getting across on how evil Chrystia Freeland really is.
I've been reflecting very carefully on what I remember from that incident almost 20 years ago. And again, I am confident that I did not act inappropriately. But part of this awakening that we're having as a society, a long-awaited realization, is that it's not just one side of the story that matters, that the same interactions could be experienced very differently.
Yeah, right. Did you hear the verbal diarrhea? Did you hear that? Did you hear how he twisted it? Okay. Christopher Freeland backed him up throughout everything he did. All of these women, and men as well, who saw this narcissistic playboy with the IQ of a toilet brush running this country, and they fled. And it's too bad that most of them got bit on their way out and are going to suffer long-term consequences from it, because there'll always be that person in the party, and the media has portrayed them all, including the victim of this groping. The media, they gave her no time of day because she didn't want to come out and do interviews. She didn't want any of that. She was the responsible one, not him. And what does Christopher Freeland really think about Trudeau?
Christopher Freeland is Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, and she joins me in the studio now. Good morning.
Good to be with you, Robin.
Do you believe Jody Wilson-Raybould, or do you believe the Prime Minister?
Of course, I support the Prime Minister 100%. It's a privilege to serve in his cabinet, and for me, serving in his cabinet means supporting him.
You hear that? Now, she's going to sidestep this question all the way through. But she's kissing Trudeau's butt the whole time. Power. Power. She doesn't care about the ethics, the morals. She doesn't care. All of that is irrelevant. Canadian citizens, irrelevant. Women, irrelevant. None of that matters to her. She'll say whatever she has to, just like Mark Carney, just like all of these puppets, to stay in power.
Having said that, I would like to start by saying I first got to know Ms. Wilson-Raybould during the 2015 election campaign. She and I realized I represent a downtown Toronto riding. She represents a downtown Vancouver riding. And we felt our ridings had a lot in common. So during the campaign, we would talk a bit, at key moments and sort of say, what are you hearing? Here's what I'm hearing. And I always have considered her to be a valued colleague. And I would even say a friend, although our files didn't cross each other too much. I think it's a good thing that she had the opportunity to speak at length yesterday on an official parliamentary platform. I think the Prime Minister took a difficult decision, but the right one, to waive confidentiality and privilege. To me, that's...
Which we found out was all bullcrap. He's still holding back information that the RCMP are waiting for. And anybody in their right mind who knows what's going on and saw all the evidence will tell you, if the RCMP got a hold of that information, this putz would be charged. He broke the highest law of the land. The highest law of the land. There's only one thing worse than that, and it's treason. And theoretically, what he did was treasonous. It was. He didn't care about the taxpayers. He didn't care about the people. He didn't care about the ethics of the company. I mean, this company, SNC, these guys not only ripped off impoverished countries, but they took payoffs from the regimes, the dictators that ruled over them. Evil. We're talking evil.
Actually an exercise in democracy.
Do you
Having
believe
said
her?
that, I believe that she spoke as she said she wanted to do, her truth.
See, there it is. Her truth. Just like Trudeau. This is what they do. Her truth. It's not the truth. It's her truth. Her truth.
Said that, I am very clearly of the view that the Prime Minister would never apply improper pressure, that the Prime Minister has always been clear about the unique role of the Attorney General and would respect that. I do also want to say, when it...
Yeah, I'm not going to listen anymore. She never answers the question. She just keeps defending the Prime Minister. just defend the Prime Minister, defend the Prime Minister, defend the Prime Minister. And every single thing that she tried to defend later on became debunked and found out that it was all a lie. It was all a lie. And she stuck beside this guy the whole time. The only reason she walked away and she did what she did and stabbed him in the back was for power. She knew they were getting destroyed in the polls. I mean, completely decimated in the polls, which I'm still hoping happens, because this party, every single person who was an MP and voted for all of these woke and insane economic policies should be fired and never be allowed in politics again. And all the books should be opened, because I'm telling you, like yesterday's or this morning's episode, the corruption, it's never ending. It's just never ending. And they're all involved. Every one of them is involved. So, I hope you liked the episode. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share, and punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until the next time, you're watching Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm Alias Tagai. Have yourself a good night.